Good morning, it's TheSketchMonkey here and welcome back to a new video. Now, one of the cars that seem to pop up all the time in ugliest car in the world videos or lists is the AMC Pacer, and I think it's one of the coolest cars ever made. But in this video we're gonna try and modernize it and see if we can make it even cooler. Alright, so here it is, and just look how cool this is. It looks like a UFO on wheels or something like that. And what I really love about this is the big windows, because to me this is not an easy window to produce, especially not back in the 70s. This window right here, it requires this, it has this curvature to it that goes around right there, and to produce this it must have been a challenge to get it right. But I love the size of the windows, and it's no wonder they call it the aquarium, because if you if you fill this up with water, you have a lot of water in here, and you put some fishes in here like that, it could definitely be a great aquarium. But what I want to do with this redesign is to modernize the whole car. And what does that mean? It means removing all the chrome, because chrome today is not a big thing in the car industry, so I want to remove that. Of course, update the headlights or the rear lights, and I think this car specifically needs, I think the most interesting view of it is the rear view, so I'm gonna use the rear view in this case to redesign the AMC Pacer. Update the wheels, move these and push them out a little bit like this so they're flush with the body. Remove the bumper in the front and the back like that, and add some key lines, key graphical lines. I love this line that goes right here. I love how low it goes. It just looks very different. Usually you have the shoulder line. I think this is a shoulder line and you have that going up here. But in this case, they decided to lower it so that it's down here instead. Gives it a unique styling of this AMC Pacer, and I want to keep that, maybe make it a bit more pronounced, and also add some line that reflects this line up here. Add a second line down here with some similar graphics to it. In the rear, add some exhaust pipes that are visible in maybe a dual exhaust or something like that that goes right here in the middle. And that's about it. We're not going to touch it too much. We're going to change the color of it, and we're going to add one more thing that is kind of a trend now, where if you look at modern cars, they have a lot of chamfers where different surfaces meet each other. So I want to add some chamfers around the windows here and make them pretty pronounced, and same thing around here, and maybe have this C-pillar right here go into the rear deck with some graphics or some design feature. I'm not sure about that yet. We're gonna have to experiment with that. With that said, let's jump into the actual redesign of this AMC Pacer, and let's see how it goes. Now, before we get into the sketching part, just make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. That way you get notified when new videos are uploaded every single week. The AMC Pacer is a two-door compact car manufactured in the United States from 1975 to 1979. Design work began as early as in 1971. The rounded shape and large glass area were really unusual compared to the three-box designs of the era. The Pacer's width is equal to full-sized vehicles of the time, and this unique design feature was promoted by AMC as the first wide small car. And it was also the first mass-produced auto design using the cab forward concept. The body surface was 37% glass, and in May of 1976, the magazine Car and Driver dubbed it the Flying Fishbowl, and this is a nickname that stuck with the car till today.
The Pacer was designed to offer the interior room and feel of a big car, even though it was a small car, and that's all thanks to keeping the width of full-size cars of the time. American Motors called it Project Amigo and mentioned that the car would feature a body style not seen before, using the latest technology and exceeding upcoming safety regulations. The AMC chairman at the time said that everything that we do must distinguish itself as being completely different than what we can expect from the competition. And knowing that this would be a very different car visually, this was the first time in the history of American auto industry that a car manufacturer has said in advance of a launch of a car that some people may not like it. The AMC Pacer has some really cool and innovative design features. One of those was the smooth blending of the top of the doors into the roof. This was an aerodynamic detail that, although criticized at the time for allowing rain into the front seat, this has become the norm in today's car design. Another of these hidden design features is the windshield wipers. When they're off, you can't see them behind the hood, and this also has become standard in today's cars. The low beltline and window design afforded the driver with outstanding visibility. The Pacer also had laminated safety glass in the windshield, and it featured an integrated roll bar. Because of the large window area, the roof needed reinforcements in case of a rollover, and this resulted in this roof bump, which is another unique design feature of the Pacer. With the unusual wide and short body of a small car, the Pacer's design is still considered controversial, and this unconventional styling most likely played a big part in its lack of success. The Pacer was powered by an inline-six producing only 100 horsepower, and this was not a light car. It was mated with an automatic transmission, and it wasn't expected to win any street races. A V8 was introduced in 1978, but was unsuccessful due to the high gas prices of the time. Talking about the redesign here, I wanted to keep the redesign simple and modernize every single piece and design feature of this Pacer. One big trend that we have today is integrated light bars in the rear. So why not add that to the Pacer, since it already had this natural division between the top and the lower part. So in between that division, I wanted to add this light bar that goes across the width of the car, and that will also emphasize the width of this car, because the width is unique because it's a small car with the same width as a larger sedan or coupe. I also wanted to work on the C-pillars and make some, not just have them melt into the rear of the car, but instead have them be kind of creased like this and make something interesting with them, just to add some personality to this redesign. Another thing I did was to raise the lower line where the windows end. I want to keep the same baseline of the front windows, or the passenger and the driver side windows, but at the rear I wanted to raise them up just a little bit to have a more dynamic relationship between the front and the rear. And I also added this lower graphic on the lower side of the car to correlate with the top graphic, and this creates a forward motion graphically, almost like an arrow pointing forward towards the nose of the car. For the exhaust, I just decided to create some sort of diffuser looking thing, maybe not a sports car diffuser, but some different part in the rear where I'm gonna house two exhaust tips. For the rims, I decided to pick these ones. I think they fit this car perfectly. They're not too complicated, but at the same time they look modern. And of course we need a plate, or we need a place for the plate. So I added that right underneath the light bar that goes across the rear of this car. To continue the graphical design of this car, I decided to add just a tiny little thing on the rear bumpers in the corners of it. And that just ties everything together graphically around the car and just makes it look like all the pieces are connected somehow. We're almost done with this redesign. There's just a few minor things to do, not so much design-wise, but render-wise, such as adding the highlights and the shadows and all these burn points on the glossy parts of the car, and finish everything off by adding some color to it. So there we have it. That's the redesign of the AMC Pacer. I hope you enjoyed this video just as much as I enjoyed making it, and honestly, I really wish that car companies today would, create something different like this more often than what they do today. But I think If you think about it, it doesn't really make sense financially to take the risk today because the competition is so hard. And I guess the AMC Pacer is a good example of what could happen if you decide to take a risk with a crazy design like this. It didn't really work out for them, but in the long run, it became some sort of a legend in the automotive industry, and it did have some really cool design features that became standard in the auto world after this was introduced. All that's left now is to show you the before and after. Let me know what you think about this redesign down in the comments. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me today. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Take it easy.